This episode of the Good Ship Brothership is brought to you by this episode of the Good Ship Brothership. That's my desktop. The garlic head doge, and then I looked in my picture file, and like I had, I'm saying like too much. I had a bunch of Blade Runner stills in my desktop background thing, and I just thought, you know, it would simplify things if I just said to myself, okay, all of my desktop backgrounds on this PC will be Blade Runner themed. Actually, I'm gonna rearrange these so that it's like this.
Okay, then let's start.
Just to shake things up. Yeah, we've been rolling.
I know, but we're not.
You're aboard the Good Ship Brothership, the only arts podcast that covers film, music, gaming, literature, and speed webbing. I'm Grant, and this is my brother, Jason. Jason, what are we going to talk about today here?
Today we are talking about Good Will Hunting, the movie which came out some time ago, and The Joshua Tree, an album which came out some time ago.
And we're going to talk cursorily also on Lord's new single, Green Light.
No, I don't have notes for that, but let's do it.
I have no notes for that either because I completely forgot, but we can still...
Let's try and keep it to just like a couple minutes.
We can still talk about it in a civilized fashion. Now, just in the interest of making the show longer, I wrote a little something today that I was wondering if I could read on the show.
Is it a poem?
It's an anger poem. It's like 2 pages long. I'm not joking.
Okay. I'm gonna probably eat some crappy chocolate while you do that.
Go ahead. I'm gonna... And then you'll be free to chime in after this. Okay. Hello, everybody. Let's dive right into this. There's never been a better time to create art. I hear this all the time. Friends, relatives, advertisements, acquaintances, and other artists all agree. But is it true? First off, it's hard to say. It's hard to exist as we do as humans in one time and place, and to definitively state that this time and place... Okay, do not laugh that loud because we don't have the cloud lifter hooked up. It's gonna... And you've completely derailed my, like, esoteric reading with your absolute loserdom. Okay.
No, you're fine.
I'm restarting. You shook me.
We can cut it a little bit.
No, we're not cutting that. We're not cutting out that disaster that just took place. Okay.
This tea looks completely unsteeped. No,
well, that's your fault, man.
It's fine. It's good. It's good.
Okay. There's never been a better time to create art. I hear this all the time, and this is true. Friends, relatives, advertisements, acquaintances, and other artists all agree, but is it true? First off, it's hard to say. It's hard to exist as we do as humans in one time and place, and to definitively state that this time and place are in any way different from any of the others that have passed before. Here, however, is what I know. 1. We're living in the most distracting day and age yet. Whether I'm sitting down to write a chapter or a riff, whether I'm recording a vocal take or fleshing out a piece of dialogue, I'm constantly pulled in all directions. I'm receiving messages on 5 different platforms at once. People are constantly flooding me with pictures of their lives. Do I care? Sort of. Should I? No. I should be working. Maybe I'll shop on Amazon for that CD I was wanting. Maybe I'll check Kijiji to see if there are any good prices on used Mexican-built Stratocasters. I should be recording that guitar track. Number 2, we're living in the artistic gold rush. Hundreds of thousands of artists are uploading their work to the internet every day in the hopes of making it big. We squat next to each other, only instead of ragged canvas tents, we're in Bandcamp and Facebook pages. Instead of pickaxes, we're all holding guitars. Instead of panning for gold, we're panning for likes and follows. Hopes are high, expectations are high. We're told by well-intentioned and We're told by well-intentioned and utterly ignorant aunts and uncles, quote, put your music on YouTube. That's how everyone gets found these days, as if we just have to cast out our line into a teeming sea of fish. The sea is teeming with fish, but we're not the fishermen. We are the fish, swimming gill to gill with a million others just like us and praying to be caught. Number 3, everyone's selling something. Let's say I spend 2 years making an album, 1 year to write it, 1 year to record it. My band is in this process right now. We're pouring dozens and dozens and dozens of hours into what we think is going to be an exceptional result. Now let's say you take a picture of your cat. She was making a funny face because you don't know why, so you pulled out your phone and boom, moment captured. Time and resources invested, 2 seconds to take the picture, plus whatever you paid for your phone, assuming you paid for your own phone, and your internet, assuming you pay for that too. We both post at the same time. Me, an announcement about my band's forthcoming album and how excited we are for it. You, the picture of your cat with a funny caption. Your post is junk food. Sugary, sweet, instantly gratifying. Mine is a full gourmet meal. Much more time and energy and effort have gone into mine, and therefore it requires a much greater investment to appreciate and digest, aka read. Both of our posts are equal in the land of social media. Neither is presented as being more or less valuable or important. And maybe that's true. But that's still what I say when people tell me how important Facebook is for my career success. And lastly, we're all entitled. Everyone feels like they've already earned it. And that goes for your music too, or your book, or your photography, or whatever. No one wants to be told that they have to pay for anything anymore, especially, in my case, of course, music. $1 for a song that you spent 3 months writing and recording? A little steep. $5 for a coffee that they'll drink and piss out in 3 hours? Only every day. I know I haven't gotten into why this era is amazing for creating. I haven't talked about the absolute lack of barriers, about the wild ocean full of mind-boggling new ideas that the internet is, or about how I can live in rural Ontario and have fans in Texas, fans who I'm connected to and with whom I can discuss my work. There's good out there too, don't get me wrong, but never a better time. I'm not sold on that. That was just something I wrote today. Just because I saw an advertisement on Facebook that literally said, there has never been a better time. There has never been a better time to create music.
That's difficult.
It just kind of got me thinking, you know.
That's a difficult statement too, though, because I think the question that the statement you were answering was more like there's never been a better time to have a career in music, which I think is kind of a different thing altogether. Like, I think creating art, like today, for me, even from like a visual perspective, everyone has a smartphone with a good camera. Everyone has the tools to take beautiful pictures. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you have your little Polaroid. You know, like for that, I think it is a great time to be a photographer.
But then the real question is, does the mass proliferation and ubiquity and accessibility of art make art better? Or is it better to have, and I know it's been argued very convincingly too, and I'm not sold either way, but it's been argued very convincingly that yes, the complete elimination of the barrier to entry is better, but I would also postulate that it might be worse, because then you don't really have to want it as badly to get into it, you know?
Yeah, the difficult thing there is, as a photographer, I feel that like social media, you know, Instagram say, kind of sucks because there's a lot of stuff that I don't think has as much value. But then at the same time, like, who am I to judge art or to be a gatekeeper of who should be able to make art and who shouldn't? And so I think it's really nothing but a good thing, even though it kind of does dilute the pool of art.
I think the my main issue is the one that I said, where social media, everything comes to social media equal, whether it is a cat meme or a engagement announcement or your band's new single or the announcement that you have cancer, like, yeah. Literally, which you do, and congratulations.
I'm so excited.
Anyway, that's just a little topic for discussion. Today we're talking about the Joshua Tree.
Are we talking about Green Light?
Talking about Good Will Hunting, and then at the very end of it, our little bonus feature will be Lord's newest single, Green Light.
Stay tuned. Spoilers. It's not that good, and I called this from a mile away.
But it's not that bad either.
Spoilers. It's okay.
Okay. Let's I will flip the puppet this time to avoid any audio related catastrophe.
The movie is going to end up being first. I want to throw that out there.
Okay, well, which side should be the movie?
If the puppet is facing down, if Oliver is facing down, then we will discuss the movie. If Oliver is facing up,
Movie,
we will
album.
discuss. Yes,
Movie,
indeed.
album. Okay. Oh, we're doing something a little new here, people, but new only conceptually speaking. We decided to do a couple discussions. They might not be in subsequent episodes. They might just be scattered about, but we kind of decided to approach several discussions differently, and we're going to call these in reviews.
Whoa.
And the premise of this is, I would totally encourage you guys to do this too, because it's been really fun for me. I don't know about you, Jason, but to go back to a favorite book or album or film or game and go through it again, something that you haven't experienced for a while. Really sit down and immerse yourself in it and think critically about it. Think about what you thought of it when you first discovered it. Think about how you've changed since then, and just kind of catch up with it and let it catch up with you. And Jason and I did this with the Joshua Tree, which was an album that kind of changed my thoughts on music, my approach to music, and how I write music. Oh, and I was probably big into it. Probably 5 years ago. When were we in BC?
That was 5 years ago.
Yeah, so 5 years ago. When I was huge into not only the Joshua Tree, but U2 in general. But yeah, this album kind of really was a game changer for me, and so I thought, hey, let's revisit it and talk about it critically for the first time. So I'm super excited. Did you have fun doing this?
Yeah.
Well, that's enthusiastic.
I had trouble making a lot of notes on this just because I feel like it's not fresh because I've listened to it so many times.
That's kind of the idea.
Yeah. I would, however, like to draw attention. I'm really getting good at this whole podcast, kind of note experience.
Oh, wow.
As I'm showing Grant.
Good job.
On the bottom half of my screen, I have my notes, and on the top half of my screen, I have the Wikipedia page. So
I too have the Wikipedia page for this album.
I'm ready, but you don't have it for the movie.
Yeah, I do. It's on my phone.
Ah, heck.
Oliver Twist. Anyway, do you want to go first, or do I want to go first? Why don't you go? I always seem to be going first.
So I actually did something without consulting you, a little differently.
Oh.
And here's what I decided. As the great President of the United States might say, the Joshua Tree, we all know it's great. I know it's great. You know it's great. Everyone knows it's great.
Can we stop with? Can we make a vow right now on this show that we will stop doing Trump jokes because they're tired and they're tropes, Trump tropes, and I'm not entertained by them anymore.
That's true. I do think the really tired out ones are just like the wall, Canada, Trump. Those are the ones where I'm like, wow, you're so... Okay.
Also, I'm warning you, I'm gonna need to drop a dookie at some point. Okay. I've just been going to the bathroom like... You know what? Nobody cares.
No.
Let's move on.
I care.
Let's keep going.
Okay. So, what I decided to do, it's a great album. Everyone knows it's great. So, I'm going to mostly actually focus on the negatives. So, if you were to just listen to this, you'd almost think I didn't like it. I love it, but I also kind of want to tear it apart a little bit. First off, I feel like the album is like chronically front-loaded. Listen as I might to the later tracks, and there are some great tracks later on, you know, like One Tree Hill or whatever is like awesome. But I think like you look at here are the first 4 tracks, Where the Streets Have No Name, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, With or Without You, Bullet the Blue Sky. Like these are all like classics, like just these awesome songs. But then like I'm looking later, you know, Running to a Standstill, One Tree Hill, and Exit. Like, I mean, they're not exactly train wrecks, but what I kept coming back to is I don't think I've ever in my life been like, man, I could listen to Exit right now. Like, what a song. And I don't feel like it really adds to the other songs in the album either.
I mean, it could be argued then as well that you can't really predict what songs are going to be commercially successful. So they may not have anticipated. What do you think of that? Because really, out of those three, or four that you mentioned there, only two of them went huge as singles.
So what's your point? I'm sorry.
Well, 2 points. One, only two of those got big radio play as singles, and also you can't really predict what songs as an artist are going to be the favorites.
I guess I'm just talking about the songs that I thought were great, and
I'm just playing devil's advocate,
I guess.
Jason.
I think it's a trend that goes beyond coincidence when like basically all the songs in the first half of the album are better than the song in the second half. I think like the Joshua Tree is a huge classic, and I found I was almost loath to critique it. It took me a little while to work up the stamina, as it were, but then I started looking at it and I was like, it's just, I actually put in my notes here, kill me for saying this if you want to, and maybe I'm just saying it because it's such a classic, but my biggest criticism of the album, having listened to it a few times really critically, is it just sounds kind of bland, if I'm being honest. And maybe that's like because it inspired such a genre that then like the imitators make it seem, like another one of them, whereas it was the OG. Maybe that's the case, but I just think it doesn't have like a wide enough variety of emotions and themes on display to be like this diverse, balanced album. But on the other hand, I don't think it has enough cohesion and like unity between tracks to stand as like a quote-unquote concept album either. So that's really kind of all I have to say on it. I mean, for me, standout tracks have to be Bullet the Blue Sky. I still haven't found what I'm looking for is a huge classic, and I think One Tree Hill is a really, really great song too. But
I just want to butt in and say that it sold 10 million units in the United States of America.
It also sold almost 3 million in the United Kingdom, so good on them.
I'm just looking at the sales
Germany
here.
bought 1 million. Like,
so did we. So did Canada.
Yeah, but we speak English. Germany, they don't even know what U2's saying.
I've got an interesting anecdote coming up.
You think they'd overdub German over the songs?
Yeah, probably. How are you progressing through your review? Is this like the break in your review, or are you finished your review?
No, I'm finished. I said I think that's all I have to say.
Oh, I see.
That was me trying to knock the ball into your court.
I'm sorry,
but I'm still probably going to butt into your review a bit with more positives because it's a great album.
So my 3 standout tracks that I was going to pick: Bullet the Blue Sky, which completely blew my mind. I don't really even know what it was about that song the first time I heard it. I think the imagery that's in Bono's lyrics in that song, it really changed me as a lyricist, because the images that he conjures up are so vivid to me, and they just sprung to life in a way that really took me by surprise. And I completely remember we were in the truck in the KPL with the pool attached to it. Which one's that? Forest
Heights?
That's
Forest Heights.
So the Forest Heights Zares. I totally remember pulling into the parking lot there with probably you and Mom in the truck with Bullet the Blue Sky playing. I was in the front, and I was just enraptured by that song. It's one of those moments that you always will remember as the first time you heard that song, and it captured me way more than, say, Where the Streets Have No Name. Yeah. Even though that's probably U2's most U2-y song, Where the Streets Have No Name.
That's fair though.
My second pick for that was One Tree Hill.
Yeah.
Which was a real sleeper for me, because I remember listening to it and going, like, I wish Bono wasn't doing the screaming kind of thing. As a vocalist, I could kind of like hear his throat closing up, and It stresses me out when I hear people destroying their voice like I know he did. But on this re-listening, it just kind of snuck up on me.
I totally agree. The exact same thing happened to me. I was like, man, I don't know if I ever remembered how good this song was.
It really hit me. And the fact too, I don't know if you know this, but he wrote that song for in memory of his personal assistant.
No.
Who was like his not like his best friend, but kind of like his best friend. His personal assistant, always with him, could confide in him all the time, and they became like extremely close, as you would to somebody like that. And then he died unexpectedly in a motorcycle accident. And Bono's marriage that year was like under a ton of strain. The production of the Joshua Tree, as always kind of seems to be with these great albums, was obviously very stressful. And so he was like just devastated, and he wrote One Tree Hill in memory of him, because he was an indigenous, maybe he was indigenous to New Zealand. I think that might be where he came from. And they have a place called One Tree Hill where their funeral, I could be out of line on this, but I think it's something like that. Their funeral
interesting
processions end up at One Tree Hill or something like that. But anyway, so One Tree Hill, that was my second pick. And then the third one was With or Without You, which is probably the greatest pop song of all time. Maybe, probably. That build.
It is right up there.
That build is one of the best song builds I've ever heard.
Not my favorite U2 song, though.
Probably not for me either, but like, in terms of just how good that song is as a song.
Yeah.
Whoa, baby. So I've just got kind of a couple thoughts on this album. Some of them echo your thoughts and some of them don't. My first one, I don't think that I understood at the first with my first flirtations with this album, I don't think I understood how much of a concept album it is.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
And the story for you complained about the disparate kind of sounding elements of the album, which is totally the case, is that The Edge wanted to take the album in a Europop kind of direction, and Bono, in this famous story of hanging out with Mick Jagger and Keith Richards and the Rolling Stones, they wanted to jam with Bono, this hot new singer, and so they started playing blues songs and asking him to improvise on them and stuff. And Bono had no idea what to do because he really had never listened to blues. And so Bono went back and immersed himself in Irish folk music and went into his own root, like the roots of his country, musically speaking, and into America's roots as a country, musically speaking, folk, blues, all that sort of thing. So that's the two halves of the album. Is The Edge's always, he's always going for the future. He's always going for something technologically astounding, and Bono was really reaching down for this kind of earthy feeling. And one of my thoughts as well was the exact same as yours. Man, this album is off kilter. These first few tracks are so...
Can you pour me some more tea, please?
Yeah, they're not even... It's not even that they're great songs, necessarily. It's just that they're...
Thanks.
And this might not make sense, but they're perfect songs. Like, they're just the right length. They're just the right tone to become hits.
Yeah.
And they put all of them in one spot. Now, I happen to know I know a lot about U2, okay? I've read multiple books. I happen to know the track listing was kind of not really deeply thought out like you might think. I think that they had a little kind of like competition, and it was somebody's girlfriend who suggested the track listing. So they all, all the band members, all the studio crew, everybody sat down and made their own track listing. And then they, listened through them all or whatever. And this one was chosen as being the best.
Yeah.
Do I think it's a bad track listing? No. But I think that it distracts the first half, the first grouping absolutely distracts everybody from the second half. And I think that the second half of the album is more rewarding to listen to than the first half. That's kind of what settled on, and I think that I don't know what it would have come out because it came out in '97, I believe.
87.
Or 87. That's what I meant. Jeez,
You're saying Good Will Hunting.
Holy
I think
Moses.
it was 97.
No, I just knew I was
That's
thinking.
kind of cool. We're doing 87, 97 in 2017.
Oh. I was thinking of. I thought 87. I said 97. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So I don't know if it would have come out. It must have come out primarily on vinyl record then, and I bet everybody listened through that first half of the.
I have it on vinyl. I never listened to it on vinyl for the review process.
Yeah, it's because you still haven't set up our vinyl, our turntable.
It's set up. It just kind of doesn't work.
It's not set up, Jason. If it doesn't work, it's not set up. I don't know what more.
It's not set up properly.
Yeah, so it's not set up. Anyway, enough about how you suck.
I already hate myself enough.
Yeah, same. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so they do have a leg up on us in that sense where they could have turned over to the B-side and just listened through to those latter tracks. I think like I just said, I'm reiterating as I try desperately to find the track listing here. You know, I would assume because it's 11 tracks, side 1 would be Where the Streets of No Name Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, With or Without You, Bullet to Blue Sky, and Running to Stand Still. And then the second half would be Red Hill Mining Town, In God's Country, Trip Through Your Wires, One Tree Hill, Exit, and Mothers of the Disappeared. I think that second half from track 6 to 11 as a full listening experience is more impactful than the first. I think the songs of the first half are titans of song writing and production and performance. But I think that as a cohesive experience, the second half there, from Red Hill Mining Town and Mothers of the Disappeared, I think it's a more thought-provoking and interesting listen. Do I wish that they had spread out those first 3 tracks throughout the album? I don't know, because then that would change the whole album. It would make it very different, but it's not a concept album in the sense of The Wall, where you've got a flowing narrative throughout, you know, and strong literal musical themes that they come back to with different characters or different situations. It's very much supposed to be a duality, because Bono, the working title of the album was The Two Americas. Bono was obsessed with the idea of America as like a utopia and America as a desert, and those are the two clashing images that they had in their head throughout the process of making this album.
Yeah.
So
I would say, I guess maybe what I said is a little off. I think the track list is good in terms of, like, I wouldn't change the track list. I just kind of wish I liked the last half of it. I wish the second half was better. Like, I don't know. Like,
or you wish that the first half was worse. Like, there's just, because you can't compare to those first 4 tracks.
I think his writing is probably better on the second half, but musically, in terms of hook and everything, it's just not the same.
You just can't beat how catchy and how memorable those first 4 tracks are.
What do we have here?
Jason's eating a giant football-sized Kinder Egg.
There appears to be a nice little Yeti, and
what is that? It's a appendage of some sort, ladies and gentlemen, and I intend to get to the tip of it. I mean, no.
The bottom of it?
Sure.
The end of it?
Maybe it's like a little brush. Does he have like a paintbrush?
Yeah, well, I don't know. So then
He's
from
kind
here,
of a cute little dude. Maybe
he has this. Is this paint? Yeah, I think this is paint.
Oh my word, ladies and gentlemen.
Man.
We could make some art for you here today.
Maybe we should paint this and then post a picture on there.
I would say that this, The Joshua Tree, is one of 3 essentially U2 albums that every so-called music fan should at least attempt to get into. I think
others
the Joshua Tree,
Acting Baby, and Pop. Yeah.
3 unbelievably good albums. I was very impressed with how well this album held up. It's got, I wrote down here, a mythic production quality that toes the line between roughness and production and the smoothness that all bands dream of. It's got just enough polish in the right
yeah.
spots. It's got just enough roughness in the right parts. My word. Hey.
But like
ripped for
but,
your
like
ears.
Daniel Langlois and like Brian Eno, like I don't know that there's a better pairing ever. Like,
and they said as well that much of this album was recorded live. I'd be interested to listen to this album and then try and sync up a metronome with the songs and see if they're really playing truly live with no metronome. You know, if the metronome strayed a little bit.
I mean, drummer might have had a click too.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying I'd be interested to find out, you know, what they were doing. Also,
how are we for time?
We're at like 30 minutes.
Okay,
but we'll cut out some of that in the first. Just kidding, everybody. We don't cut out anything. We do no editing here. Also, I'd just like to say they've got the bonus CD with the B-side tracks, including Luminous Times or Hold On to Love. My word.
Oh, yeah.
What a tune that is. Oh my gosh,
Oh, yeah.
that song's so good.
Funny that I think they put that on one of the YouTube best of albums, but it didn't get on the album itself.
Oh, it's a B-side, you know. I can't believe that it didn't make it onto the... Because that is...
It's better than half the songs on the album.
Whew. U2 is one of those bands where no matter how much bad they do, and I feel like they are a shadow of what they were. They're not a shadow of what they were. They're a parody of what they were.
That said, I do like their newest album.
I like their newest album fine. But when you listen to their newest album and then you listen to the Joshua Tree, they have fallen a long way, baby. And that's what I'm saying. At the best points of their career, like the 3 albums I mentioned, U2 have really walked the tightrope between polish and raw, unfettered emotion. Mm-hmm. And on all 3 of those albums, I think that is easily the clearest examples of that. Now, All That You Can't Leave Behind might be an album of great songs, but it lacks those performances.
I do love it, though.
And the honesty that the other 3 albums have. I think that's pretty much all I've got to say, and in parting, I'll share one interesting anecdote. As I was dredging through the extensive Wikipedia entry on this album, I was looking around at the different songs themselves and going to those songs Wikipedia pages, and I was astonished. I think it was at least 2 or 3 songs that I was looking at that got covered by heavy metal bands, like Anthrax kind of thing. And I just thought, wow, what a strong testament to the universality of the songs that are on this album and how just straight good they are.
Is it on Wikipedia?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter.
I'm gonna look.
It's on the Wikipedia for like individual songs though, so you can't get it without Wi-Fi. But it's just a testament to how just straight good the songs are, and no matter what genre they're played in. So I thought that was like just a really interesting little anecdote kind of thing. Now I have to go to the bathroom desperately. So if you'd like to do whatever you'd like to do, talk about the album a little more, closing thoughts, I need to go. Goodbye.
A mushroom cut for a little while. No softening those bangs whatsoever. And he's here with us today.
Move over,
so
you
please
sane.
Welcome Whoopi Goldberg.
There's a new fastest man in town.
So right down 36 minutes was when you left?
34.
34?
Right down when I left.
So I talked the whole time, but with varying quality because, and I said this too, I was like, you know what? If you're not smart enough or creative enough to talk long enough, that's what the snip tool is for, baby.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the second half, and
the Joshua Tree is U2's best-selling album. I thought Achtung Baby was. Is among the best-selling albums of all time. It ranks as one of the best-selling albums in the U.S. in 95. The RIAA, whoever they are, certified it 10 times platinum for shipping 10 million units, and the album subsequently received the Diamond Award for reaching this level. Similarly, the Canadian certified Diamond in Canada, which is 1 million. The 36th highest selling record in the UK.
Okay, let's move on, man.
Ow.
Okay.
Oh, hey. Oh, by the way, high five. Shout out to Ben Siebert if you're listening to this, brother. Awkward pause just for you. Okay, Good Will Hunting.
Moving forward a decade.
Which is a film I was forced to listen to.
He just wouldn't open his eyes. I was like, you gotta watch it.
Great, you have to watch it too.
He was like, you can't make me.
No, I'm not gonna watch it. You can't make me look.
I don't know why I went into that. I relapsed into a childlike state.
Suppressed memories. Okay, so Good Will Hunting is, as the Wikipedia page says, a 1997 American drama film directed by, do you say it Gus Van Sant?
Gus Van Sant.
It's not like Guy or something.
I mean, I don't think so. Where's my phone?
Gus Van Sant.
I think it's Gus.
Okay.
I'd say Gus.
And starring Robin Williams, Matt Damon, Bean Affleck, Minnie Driver, and Stellan Skarsgård. I would also throw Casey Affleck in there.
And of course, a deviled egg. I can't remember what I was gonna say. Danny DeVito. That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
But I said a deviled egg instead.
Same thing. They have similar figures.
Oh man.
The movie was written by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, with Damon in the title role. The film follows 20-year-old South Boston laborer Will Hunting, an unrecognized genius who, as part of a deferred prosecution agreement, becomes a client of a therapist and studies advanced mathematics. And I'm going to leave the rest of it out because we don't want to get into spoilers. But I mean, I think that's actually a nice...
Let me review it first, by the way.
Okay.
Were you going into your review there?
I was, because we just heard your review of the album.
I guess
Go ahead.
that's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Frick. No, I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
Because
Okay,
I think when
fine.
somebody reads their review first, it changes my review when I'm going second. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
You know what
guess.
I'm
I mean,
saying?
it changes the nature of my delivery, but not
Yeah.
my opinions.
Unfortunately, the first thing that I wrote down was negative. Now, I should say overall, I mean, somewhat obviously, it's such a lauded film, and that's the thing when you're going to go experience something that's critically acclaimed for review purposes, and you're going in to be critical. It's a mixed bag of what you're expecting, right? You're expecting to be wowed by it a little bit, but you're also kind of expecting to be let down by it a little bit,
Yeah.
and disappointed too. And I'd have to say, first off, is Ben Affleck even the same person? My word, does he look different? Holy Moses. Matt Damon, I mean, except for the hair, this movie could have been shot, last week. But Ben Affleck, I don't even know what it is, because it's not like he looks really old now, but he just... What happened, Ben?
His face is so smooth.
Yeah, but like what happened? Because I've seen him in various roles over the years, and he looks so bored and he looks so sleepy all the time. He's really got a youthful zest to him in this movie, as do all the characters. The rapport between, I'd say, Casey Affleck, Ben Affleck, and my boy, what's his face?
Matty D.
Yeah. Matt Damon, all like very genuine chemistry between those three, who are kind of like a little gang of hoodlums, I guess you could say. And it's just them three, right?
No, there's the ginger who only gets named like
Oh,
once.
that's right. Yeah,
I'm
it was
gonna
kind
look
of
I'm gonna look up his name while we talk.
I did like him. He seemed kind of like the
Let me jump in a second.
Okay, he seemed kind of like the older brother of the group who was kind of slowly detaching as he grew up, a little bit ahead of them. But that's kind of weird. Like, I completely forgot about that guy.
Cole Hauser.
Cole Hauser, okay. Shout out to you, man. You haven't gotten the rep you deserve.
One of my first thoughts was also negative, and I was like, why was he there? He doesn't really serve any purpose. But then I thought, not naming names, I was like, every friend group has the one guy who's just kind of there sometimes, and you feel like you don't know him, like he's not one of the boys, but he's still there kind of thing. And so I actually enjoyed him, and I think he was a good actor.
I think he was definitely, like I said,
Additive.
I think he was kind of emblematic, or he was a little bit of foreshadowing for what was going to happen later in the film. No spoilers. But, yeah, because, you know, he was beginning to move on.
Yeah.
You could see he carried himself a bit more mature, and his character was a bit older than the Affleck brothers or Mr. Damon. A positive note, the conversations in the movie are shot really beautifully. Like, they're somewhat inconsistent in how they're shot.
I agree.
Which bothered me from time to time. But the close-ups of people's faces, really, really gorgeous. Like, and that really took me by surprise. But that's a very important thing when it's a drama, like it, as you said, when the sense of action, as it were, is mainly coming from conversations between the characters. And speaking of action, there's a fight scene in a basketball court. Really awfully shot.
Yes.
I thought. I was watching and I was like, is this really the best they could do? It, like,
yes.
I could come over to you right now and fake punch you and go, and like just swing my fist through the air past your face
and make the sound,
and it would look more real than what they did.
Oh yeah, it's brutal.
It's not. I mean, it's not an action movie. It's not what the film hinges on. But it was really like, in a moment that was meant to be, hey, these guys are kind of volatile, loose cannon kind of kids. I was just chuckling, going, is this the, like, did the choreographer have a nap? Like, what and it's, I don't know, it was just so weird.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and like it's slow motion, and there's the face, like Casey Affleck's like, oh,
and it
like
really
jarring.
didn't fit with the rest of the film in terms of tone or how it was shot or anything. Because there would have been a way to shoot that fight sequence that mirrored the conversation sequence, and that would have been interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
But they didn't. They completely departed from the aesthetic that they had established already. The two professor characters, I'm kind of all over the place on this because I didn't really arrange my notes in like a linear fashion. The conversation between Stellan Skarsgård, who plays the math professor,
Gerald Lambeau,
and Robin Williams' character, they have conversations about Matt Damon's character. I found them a little too on the nose and a little too explanatory in places where they didn't need to be. And just a little clumsily written. Now, this film, I do believe, you can check for me there, was written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Yeah, it was.
And so that would explain it. They're young guys. I'm sure it was edited by somebody who had more experience, but it was a little exposition heavy. Robin Williams, obviously the best part of the movie in terms of acting. What a guy. Obviously, now that he's departed, I think everybody goes back and revises and goes, oh, Robin Williams is the best ever. But he really, really is really, really good. And he could take a post-it notes worth of dialogue and character and make it into a living, breathing person that you believe in and who you feel like you know, right?
Yeah.
And even for somebody... you think it's a spoiler?
I would, like we said, I think first. Do we say first quarter of the movie?
Yeah, which he's
it's
not
not a spoiler because it's in.
Yeah, I guess that it's part of his character.
It happens before the movie.
His wife has passed away, and he's very sad about that. And that's a very cliched place to play from. But he really, really makes it work. And sadly, I can't say the same for Matt Damon. I feel like he did not play the abused foster child as well as he might have.
Not a lot of nuance in that
not
regard.
much nuance at all. There is a scene where he is arguing with his girlfriend, Minnie Driver. Why do we not see her in more stuff? She was awesome, I thought. I thought she was convincing, especially when he leaves her and then she breaks down. I thought she, like, that portrayal was, like, very, very nicely executed. And there were some points when they're speaking in the bar and stuff that I was kind of rolling my eyes or whatever. But I really thought that she showed a lot of promise as a young actress.
I think she's in quite a bit of stuff, but
Yeah,
I
I think
couldn't
so,
name
but-
something else as
No,
someone who's not
but
very informed.
But still the argument that they have in her room or whatever, I could hear myself rolling my eyes.
Yeah,
That's how hard I was
absolutely.
rolling my eyes. It's like, oh, this is so melodramatic, and it was kind of way over the top, and it was like, let's see how many tropes we can cram in here. And that being said, like, there's a lot of stuff not to like, but there's still a lot of stuff to like.
it's charming, right?
None of the rough edges make me dislike it. Casey Affleck's character, who's in the movie,
I love him.
solely for comedic relief. I said to you, and you said you didn't notice this at one point. He's kind of speaking in the background of another conversation, and he says, so this chick tells me I got a receding hairline and I could lose a few pounds, and I say to her, shove off, or whatever he says. And then for the rest of the movie, though nothing more is said on that, he's wearing hats to cover up cover up what he thinks
awesome.
might be a receding hairline. And he's in the movie solely for comedic
Also, by the
benefit.
way, I think that the chick told him to gain a few pounds, not to lose, because he's really skinny.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyways, Karen.
He's in there. The comedic elements are really, really nicely doled out.
Like natural, right?
They're so natural.
Yeah.
They never feel. Dad was watching Civil War for whatever reason, and the comedic quips and stuff in that movie, I was just like banging my head against a table because it's like
We'll have
you
to
can't
review a superhero movie
you can't
sometime.
just take a stupid one-liner and just wedge it in like every 10 minutes because comedy break. Bah,
Oh,
and
but
then,
they
like,
can.
Comedy break. Bah. I mean, that's what sells, but it's just there's no flow to it. There's no rhythm to it. The comedic elements in Good Will Hunting are very nicely underplayed and very subtle, and really, as a result of that, pleasing and believable and memorable. There was a weird moment where, let me see if I can. Ben Affleck's character's in an interview situation, and then it cuts to him being in a session with Robin Williams' character, but he continues speaking the same dialogue strand. Does that make sense? So it's like it cuts from being first person to narration almost, and there's like a really weird shift in the audio quality from one scene to another.
I didn't notice that.
That's just like one of the little rough edges in the movie. I'm not really sure how I feel about the ending of it in general, which obviously we're not going to talk about explicitly.
I didn't love it, didn't hate it.
Yeah, it was
A
fine.
non-event.
Yeah, it was weird. I found the ending to be both corny and melancholic,
Yeah.
and there was I don't know what I would have preferred, but I feel like it wouldn't have been my first choice, this ending. And then I think really it's a very charming film. And there's a lot that I actually did end up taking exception to. But I think the charm really defeats any of the rough edges that it has. I think Matt Damon's character, the central character, Will Hunting, I almost just called him Good Will Hunting straight up. I think Will Hunting's character is very uneven and slightly unbalanced, and parts of his, like, he has like violent tendencies that are completely ignored from the therapy standpoint. And then
I think that's just because Robin Williams has like a different tact.
he does, but I, as a viewer, I want that to be addressed. the fact that he's like, you know,
There should be some normalcy.
yeah, he's easily provoked and just beats the snot out of people. Like that's something you'd like to, as a viewer, you'd like to see that addressed. You'd like to see him tested and then hold back from engaging in a conflict like that. And you never really see that. But yeah, really charming movie. Definitely not one of my favorite movies of all time, or even close to it. But a really, really solidly acted and decently well written movie, and a unique premise.
Yep.
Your thoughts? I could tell from your face that you don't like Minnie Driver at all.
So, I'm gonna start with my cons. First of all, I want to say a totally minor thing.
I have to take off my shirt.
A totally minor thing that...
It's so hot.
A totally minor thing that bugged me, like, a lot, and it really doesn't matter. But the one time, Minnie Driver and Matt Damon are going out, like, on a date or whatever. And they're like, what should we do? And typically the movie has, like, this more... Like, they're either in the ghetto or the university or whatever. And then they go see hound racing. And I was just like, what a non sequitur that was. Like, she's rich or whatever. And that's really not a serious complaint at all. But both times I watched it, I was like, where did this come from and where did it go? Like, she never even mentions hounds again. I don't know. Let's see. So, Minnie Driver, I have no beef with her as an actress. I think there were times when she was, like, really charming and I, like, liked her character and she seemed, like, genuine and real in a way. I think the direction and writing and character around her sucks. That's one of the, like, my least favorite parts of the movie. I feel like her character was underdeveloped. Although to say that implies that it was developed to some extent. I feel like she, like, how would I describe her? She's this girl, she's his girlfriend, she's a girl, she's rich.
Now they set her up as being very, not as intelligent as him, but still, but more dedicated. They try and make her more balanced, but she's not, like, balanced, I'm saying, meant like mature, but she's really not.
She just doesn't seem like she has a lot of personality. Like, and there are scenes when she's charming and stuff, but they just didn't write any built, so, like, if there's ever tension surrounding her, I just found it hard to care about her at all.
Now, you and I are never, ever, ever, ever ones to go,
oh, and she's the only female in the film, and I take exception to that.
But she is the only female in the film.
Happy Feminism Day.
And yeah, we're recording this on International Women's Day. So if you're a woman,
happy birthday.
Hug yourself. Anyway, that came off as slightly passive aggressive.
We love women.
Yep.
Women are great.
Definitely don't love men, if you know. Also, we totally forgot to do our theme music. So our theme music's going to be the closer. Okay.
And let's not talk about Green. Well,
we'll talk about Green. It's fine. People will either listen or they won't.
They won't.
Yeah, nobody's literally. If you're listening to this right now,
type in Kleenex.
No, type in.
Not Kleenex.
No, type in "I am your puppet, Sponge Lord" into the comments of wherever you're listening to this, or send it to our Facebook page so we know you care. That's "I'm your puppet, Sponge Lord."
With an exclamation mark.
Probably. Yeah, and maybe a smiley.
Okay, is this your review? Or is this my review?
This is my review. I was just
I'm just kidding.
I do agree with you. I think that as the film's leading lady, she did deserve.
Yeah,
she deserved a little bit more. I think one of my big beefs with the film is everybody just seems kind of weirdly tropey. Like the two Affleck brothers, we really don't know, like, literally anything about who they are, where they come from. Matt Damon's a foster kid who has issues.
Robin Williams' wife is dead.
Robin Williams' wife died.
He's the unappreciated, like, genius kind of thing,
and his girlfriend's the inheritor, the heir of a family fortune, and her father died when she was 13. And there's even a spot where she goes, "Don't you think I'd do anything to get him back?"
Oh my goodness!
It was like, So it's like everybody's had somebody die.
Time to check Facebook.
Yeah.
That said, I'm gonna get into some more good things. The movie's not really about the plot, which I think is a decent carrier, but not outstanding. It's more about character interaction, both verbal and non-verbal. Like, I think just the little, like, you can tell they know each other so well. Like when Ben Affleck like goes up and knocks on Matt Damon's door, and then Matt Damon comes out and he hands him a little Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and they like kind of just wordlessly go out to their car.
Yeah, moments like that were
there's
really
a familiarity
nice,
there.
Yeah.
I think the conversations are like really good, like super well written. I think everybody acted out the conversations well.
The dialogue, we call
Yeah.
that. In writing.
But yes and no. Like, I feel like when I talk about conversations, it's like a one-on-one thing. Like, there weren't that many group discussions, and when there were, they always had more of like this party feel, which was awesome. Like whenever they're in bars. But other than that, very seldom are there more than two people talking. Like, almost never.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just kind of how what movie? I think it's Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Where yeah, it is Pulp Fiction, where they say there are never more than two people talking at a time. And I think that's just good writing 101 to avoid, you know, big group discussions, stuff like that, because it just doesn't track as well. But I agree.
The movie blends like tension and emotion with humor like so well. Like right at the beginning, there's a scene in the bar when some Harvard guy tries to make Ben Affleck's like blue collar character look bad, and then Matt Damon steps in and like shows this guy up. And then he goes up to the window where the guy's like sitting inside, and he goes up to the window with the girl's phone number later in the evening, and you know, he's like,
do you like apples?
Do you like apples? And the guy's like, yeah. And he's like, how do you like these apples? And you're just like, yeah, Matt, show him. Like, that guy's a jerk. And I think it's really easy to root for characters like that, even though when you do pick them apart, I totally agree with you that like Matt Damon seems a little off kilter. Like, he has these violent tendencies, but he's not like brooding or like, I don't know.
He just doesn't seem.
He doesn't sell it.
He doesn't seem as troubled as he should.
Yeah.
If he's really as troubled as he pretends to be in some scenes, and he doesn't seem as strong, or I don't know if strong's not the right, but you know what I mean. He doesn't seem as not troubled as he should if he's really as jovial. I don't know.
But he doesn't seem like he's hiding it either. Like, it's just
they try to have their cake and eat it too in terms of his character, which I can respect. You don't want the movie to be like applauding, and they do pull it off. Like it's I don't think it's supposed to be a you know
what else?
I think character study.
I think Robin Williams' monologues are so good. That scene when they're sitting out in the park, it's the movie poster, and you know, he's like, if I asked you about love, you'd quote me Shakespeare, but you don't know what it's like to look at a woman and feel truly vulnerable. Like, he just sells these lines.
Robin Williams is amazing. You like he is like 100% believable.
Yeah.
Like 100% believable.
Something that you didn't touch on that I feel was maybe my favorite part of the movie, to be honest with you, or close. And part of this is where I am in life as like a student towards the end of my high school career, is I think that the movie posed like very, very thought-provoking topics on. So Matt Damon, this isn't a spoiler, this is like back to the DVD, first 15 minute stuff. He's like working as a janitor, but he's really a genius, and part of him wants
like me.
Yeah, exactly. Part of him wants to pursue and be like this advanced mathematician, but then he also talks about, you know, like, there's honor in laying bricks, or I'm fixing someone's car so they can get to work in the morning. Like, there's honor in that. And I think the movie tackles these really interesting topics of what is your responsibility or obligation to the world. If you have these skills, do you have to pursue them, or can you just get a job that has like simple gratification? There are some characters in the movie that are trying to force him to use his genius to help the world, and then there are other characters who just want him to do kind of like what makes him happy.
I did find the juxtaposition between the
professors,
the juxtaposition,
devil
between
and
the
angel
two
on the shoulder kind of thing.
But they're not even like, they just they're both in the end they kind of both want the same thing for him.
Yeah.
But they're still opposing each other, and those two viewpoints were very, very well presented.
Yeah.
Especially in a couple scenes.
So yeah, I found that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Is I thought it never came off like a movie that was like this artist, like you're gonna be thinking about this afterwards. But I did find myself thinking long about the things they discussed. Something else you didn't mention that I loved. I feel like the sets were awesome, even though they were like pretty low key. Like Matt Damon lives in this super crappy house, like in the ghetto kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like Robin Williams' character, his like office is full of these neat little details and books and stuff like that. I just think it was well done.
Yeah. Robin Williams' character's office is definitely a really nice analog to his life.
Yeah.
As a whole, and what he's kind of become as a person.
Yeah.
A nice analog. What a
in
piece
closing,
of scum
I think it was like a very, very good movie, and it would be borderline one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know that it is. It might be like top 25 material, I think. I loved it. I have very few cons listed. So this has been the Good Ship Brothership. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been the Good Ship Brothership, episode 6, the shippening.
Yeah, guys, we're
Can you
doing
grab the theme music?
Yeah,
please?
we're doing very well, and we are coming up on our on a big milestone that we're very
Don't let
excited
on
about.
too much though. It's supposed to be a surprise.
And we're gearing up for a huge celebration.
yeah.
So
But just think binary code. Something to do with binary code.
and Waffle House.
So, with that in mind, thank you, Tom. Thank
Thanks,
you, Johnny.
Johnny. I watched a great
I'm
video.
wearing that fur coat that you sent me right now.
I watched an excellent video with our two Radiohead benefactors.
Oh,
and
did you?
I did, legitimately.
Yeah.
And they're playing some songs from their band. I understand they have a band going.
Oh.
And they were sounding pretty decent.
Oh,
and it was
man.
the two of them sitting
They
on
were
like
so
a
good.
couple benches with guitars and a drum machine.
Yeah. You know, they keep hitting me up and wanting to collab, and I'm like, normally I don't collab with lesser known people, but maybe.
Welcome to the show.
An hour plus in.
Hour and
We're-
5
We're
minutes.
gonna cut some of that out, maybe.
And then add it back in when we do the advertisement.
The advertisement will
sponsorship.
be under 5 seconds. It's gonna be like, Beppis,
This
drink
episode
quick.
of The Good Ship Brothership is brought to you by The Good Ship Brothership. Now on with the show.
You ever think about what life would be like if you woke up tomorrow 10 years younger?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
No, it'd be weird. No, like, I don't mean 10 years behind in time. Like, you were just 10 years younger. And I looked over at you and I was like, what happened? You have a dirt stash and a bowl cut.
I didn't really have a bowl cut.
No.
Okay, so now we're gonna quickly deride Lord for her single. Jason, we can do this.
Okay.
Don't be a wussy. Lord released a single called Green Light. It's 3 years
It's like
too
an
late.
orange light IMO.
Yeah. How long has it been since her last?
3.5 years.
3.5 years since her last. So call it 4 years.
We're not
This-
typically pop fans at all.
Yeah.
We both really like Lord.
Yeah, we both really liked heroin, pure heroin. We both really like heroin, guys. But I think everybody does, don't they?
Speaking of Tom York and Johnny Greenwood, thanks,
Hey.
guys.
Everybody liked pure heroin as an album.
Yeah.
Like
It was just good. It just was.
Yeah, it connected, right place, right time. She waits 4 years to make a follow-up, and I know you've heard me rant on this like many times, but maybe the people listening haven't.
So make it quick.
She's really young. She's younger than me. I'm 22. She's younger than me. And she waits 4 years to put out a follow-up? Are you kidding me? 4 years when you've got fans all over the world who have given you millions of dollars for your first album, and the way that you give back to them is with 4 years of silence.
3.5.
It's going to be 4 pretty much by the time the album comes out. So I'm going to say 4.
Yes.
It just seems rude and self-absorbed, and it shows, I mean, I understand you're touring and whatnot, but it shows a bit of a lack of work ethic, I think, in terms of you don't need that much time, you know? Like, I've released at least an album a year since I got into music, pretty much. And many times I've released more than one album in a year. And I'm not saying that they're better than her albums by any stretch of the imagination, like, completely don't get me wrong there. But I'm just saying the creative process, though different for everybody, it just, you sit and you apply yourself. It's hard work, but you go into the studio, you apply yourself, you write 10 new songs, you get them recorded with the millions of dollars your fans are giving you, and then you give back to the fans. And I know it's a different world. I know it's not the same process as it once was, but you look at a band like the Beatles, who toured non-stop and then would go straight back into the studio and bang out a new album in like a matter of weeks almost. And each of their albums, I think they released 7 or something, are the most celebrated albums in literally popular music today. And I just find it sickening that this is like a thing that a young musician is allowed to do after a stellar debut, to just drop off. It's a stupid view, it's a stupid move in my view, because you want to get out there, you want to make an impression, and then you want to subvert that impression in some way. And 3.5, 4 years of radio silence, I don't know exactly why it bothers me so much, but I just think, you're young. Are you out of ideas?
I've been thinking of this more lately, and I totally disagree with you, actually. I was thinking, what is the artist's obligation to their consumers? And I was like, Lorde owes me nothing. What have I given her? I gave her like $10, and then she gave me an album, so we're square. She said, you know, like, I don't want to release another album until I have something worth saying, which I totally get behind. That said, if green light is your definition of worth saying, maybe you should have waited another 4 years. However, I don't really have a problem with a big gap. I think it's a bad PR move, and I think it's a bad move for your creative process, because I find there's a balance between waiting until inspiration strikes, but then also just letting yourself stagnate entirely. I think if you wait, even if you wait 2 years until you start writing again, you do lose that muscle, and I think it is something that can be atrophied, kind of thing. But I mean, I don't think it's rude of her, and I don't think she owes it to her fans to release another album like sooner or anything. And I think if her album is good, then I think it will have been worth it, because I mean, I've had no shortage of music to listen to in the last 4 years. So green light, I think.
Coming back to the subject at hand,
after wasting 10 minutes when we were like, we really got to wrap up.
That's not a
boys.
waste, Jason. Also, you're always the one who's like, we gotta wrap it up. And I'm like, no, give the people what they want, which is us to
More
stop.
of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it was, I don't have that much to say on it because it's super bland.
I think it's so boring, man. Like,
I don't think it's bad. I think it's better than the Imagine Dragons single.
Yeah. But give me this though. We'll say 3. In 3 years, that's the best you can come up with for a leading single. 3 years of not releasing any new original material. Would you not think, you know what I gotta do? I gotta hit him with something fresh, something that goes, I'm not the same person I was on the first album. I've grown, I've matured, I've ventured off into these new exciting, in the 3 years I've been gone, and now she sounds less like herself. with that super the piano, you know, and it's just
Instead, it's like, it's the kind of track that if it were on pure heroin, it would be like, I wouldn't really talk about how much I hate it, but I would probably just skip it every time it came on, and it would be like one of the worst tracks on the album. I think it's okay, and it did do this. It did make me excited for her album, because I was like, even in this version of Lord, which I feel this song was kind of watered down and not, like, the writing was fine, but the writing wasn't that good. Even in this song, like, I've missed this. I've absolutely missed, like, having new Lord in my lineup of music, because I feel that she does bring something unique to the table, and Pure Heroin was absolutely one of my top albums of that year, of 2012. 2012? 2013? 2014? 2013.
2013, surely.
Yeah, 2013. So I don't think it was a disaster. I'm not, like, upset. It's like, I'm like Lord's parent. It's like, we're not angry. We're just disappointed.
You know? Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a very good chance that she's just trying to grab ears with this and get on the radio in order to drum up support for her new album. But as somebody who seemed like a breath of fresh air into the pop scene, and like somebody who is really kind of doing her own thing, or a blend that became her own thing, this just seems like an absolute cop-out.
Come on, I thought you would never be royals, you know?
Yeah.
So much for that. Is that it? Can we finally end this?
I think we should put this demon baby to bed, and then we can get our own demon baby butts in our beds.
I wanted to get up kind of early tomorrow, but that's not going to happen. It's almost midnight right now. And I still haven't flossed my teeth.